Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Let's talk about the amazing episode 32. So I'm going to start off with the smaller storylines and then work my way up to the more important ones. So first we have Muzo going to Nihat and being all tired of making all this money, blah blah blah, and Nihat being very annoyed. But that's the moment I think where he's like, okay, you can make a lot of money with organic products, so that's why he orders a box full of organic oil that he will sell, like, I don't know how to say it, but like nobody should know about it, just keep quiet, I will sell it for a lower price than Mevkebet does. And then Mevkebet actually sees it, like she's very suspicious of the box that arrives at Nihat's shop, and then they come, so Muzo and Mevkebet, and they're like, what are you doing, blah blah blah, and they start to laugh because Nihat kind of caved, because at the beginning he was like, I'm not selling any organic stuff, and now he does, which was very funny. Then we have Mama David coming to Mevkebet's shop and Muzo recognizing the car and being all excited that Mama David came. Mama David actually only came because she wants to find more stuff out about Sanem, so in her words she can fuel this negative energy between Janem. So while Muzo is out getting coffee for Mama David and Mevkebet, they talk about a cook Mama David had and that person couldn't cook anything, and then Mevkebet is like, well, Sanem can't crack an egg, blah blah blah, so she can't cook basically. And that's all the information Mama David needed. So she actually buys some products from Mevkebet, and then after Mama David goes, Aysen comes and is like, well, I don't trust Mevkebet with all this money, blah blah blah, I don't really trust you, don't worry, I'm here, I'll look after everything. And then this huge fight between Aysen and Mevkebet happens. It was so funny. Anyways, that evening Nihat and Mevkebet invite Osman for dinner, and they want to talk about the wedding because now they're engaged and they should take the next step, blah blah blah. And Osman is really excited, Mevkebet and Nihat are also very excited, and Layla is very, what wedding? Well, we should leave it, there's time for that, always evading this topic kind of. Mevkebet has this very motherly look, like don't talk anymore, like don't make it worse. Look at Osman, and Osman had this very hurt look. I mean, I kind of get it, but at the same time, dude, she's in love with another person, don't be that blind. I mean, he's not, but he just chooses to ignore it kind of, so it's kind of his fault. So after dinner they go to JJ's to watch this ad that Osman shot for a bank. So we have Muzo, Güliz, JJ, Ayhan, Osman and Layla. Layla put her hand on Osman's hand, being like, oh proud, you did so great, everyone was excited for the ad. And Osman just slid his hand out from under her, I don't know how you call it, but he just didn't want her touch kind of. And then this whole wedding topic comes up again, and Muzo asks Güliz what she thinks about it. She's all shocked, tries to ask JJ. Oh, that was before the ad, exactly. Then JJ says, oh my god, the ad is on, blah blah blah. Anyways, after the ad, Osman and Layla go. Muzo brings Güliz to the car, and then Ayhan and JJ are left, and she asks him about marriage, what he thinks, and his response was like, well, I really like the ad. And she got so frustrated. And then we have Osman bringing Layla home, and she said, well, it was so weird to see someone familiar or someone I know on TV, and he got really offended by that because he wanted her to say my lover or something else, but not someone I know. I kind of get it. I also get her position when he asked her, do you really want to be with me? I don't want you to be not happy, I want you to be honest with me. Do you really want to do that? Do you really want to have a wedding? I don't want to force you. It was sweet for him to care that much, but Layla is a person, like, I totally get it. She would rather be miserable herself than to hurt Osman, because he says, well, tell me now if you don't want to have this wedding, because if you tell me later I can't bear it, blah blah blah. So that's kind of the point where Layla is like, of course I want it, because she doesn't want to hurt Osman because they know each other that long. It's kind of frustrating to watch it, but at the same time I really like it. So Layla is like, okay, we'll have a wedding in the summer, blah blah blah. So my theory is maybe the last episode before the summer break of Erkenci Kush will get the Layla Osman wedding and so many more things happening. So I don't know, that would be a good ending to keep us tense, to keep us wanting more. Or maybe I'm completely wrong. Anyways, the next day after Muzo watched this ad, he has an idea. So he's like, well, Osman, I want to make an ad with you for our shop. And Osman is like, go talk with my manager. And Muzo is like, well, look at this money, I have a budget. And Osman actually tells him how much it would cost. And Muzo faints. And then when he wakes up again, he has this bright idea he says he wants to take a selfie with Osman, but actually he's filming it. So he films the logo of the shop and Osman. So Osman kind of picks up on that and says, well, nice try, talk with my manager if you want an ad. It was just very funny to watch it. And then Muzo gets very angry and frustrated because he wants to make more money, blah blah blah. And then Aysun comes with 5 orders or something and she's all happy. And then Muzo gets all sassy with his mother, and then Mevkibe is like, I don't like your mother, but don't talk with your mother like that. And then he's like, what are you talking about? All kind of angry, frustrated, sassy, all in one. And then you see Aysun and Mevkibe kind of supporting each other, and then they kick Muzo out. So maybe we'll get Aysun and Mevkibe working together. So right at the beginning we find out that Yiğit actually lived in Canada, was a teacher, and is not very close to Polen. And also that Can and Yiğit knew about each other from Polen, but they didn't know what the other one looked like. So that would make sense that Can wouldn't know who Yiğit was before that moment. Then we get Yiğit being all excited for his new agency, showing Sanem around and always asking for her opinion if he can message her, blah blah blah. Then at the same time we have Polen and Can talking about Yiğit and this whole Sanem situation. Polen being like, but then when she asks him if he's still up for this job, he's like, of course, I didn't change my mind, I will go. And we have this moment where Polen and Sanem intersect, and Sanem sneezing, Polen being like, well, you should do something about it, blah blah blah. And then Sanem turns around and shoots Polen. It was kind of funny. One thing, am I the only one who thinks that that jacket looked so soft? I was constantly looking at that jacket. I really want to have one like that. We have a similar moment where Can is shooting Yiğit when he comes to this party that Mama David came up with, because Polen wants to write a cookbook and she can test all those dishes on everyone from the agency. And then when Yiğit comes, Can is like with his camera shooting him, and then Can asks Sanem to come to his office because he wants to talk with her. They kind of get in a fight talking about her decision, that he thinks it was stupid and she shouldn't give up on her career at the agency. Then Sanem says his decision was stupid, but he's like, well, I'm going back to my old profession, blah blah blah. And then this whole conversation turns into them talking about their relationship, and then Can being like, well, look at movies, the most handsome men are the most deceiving when they go like. It was so hilarious. I laughed so much during that scene. And then he's like, well, you still have 15 days. And Sanem is like, no, I still have 13 days. And then when she talks about the days left at the agency, he looks at her about to kiss her. Then when he talks about those days, she looks at him about to kiss him. Like, there's still tension, there's still that spark between them. It's amazing to watch. And during that whole conversation, Sanem wanted to leave once, and then he grabs her back, pulls her back. Loved every second of it. Then she comes with this board thing. I don't know what it's called in English. Clipboard. And then she's like, this will be my countdown, look at this board, because every day I will write on it so everyone knows how many days I have left. Can watches everything and then calls Sanem back to his office. And while Sanem is in Can's office, everyone else is watching them and then making bets how long Sanem will resist, if she'll stay till the end of those 13 days or will she quit before that. Then Sanem meets up with Yiğit for lunch. They eat, they talk about the agency, what they want to do, blah blah blah, and then him asking for a chapter of her novel. She says, well, she will concentrate after she leaves the agency. Then this whole preview happens. Then Yiğit actually comes, asks if Sanem is free, and she's like, yeah, of course. And Can is like, no, she's not free. Look at that, look at my table, it's full of documents, we work here, she has no time. And she's like, we went over those documents 100 times, just take some notes if you find a mistake and then I'll look over it. And she goes with Yeet and he's so frustrated. I loved it so much. Then they walk down this hallway and everyone is standing there looking at them, and Yeet asks her what she thinks about two different covers, and they talk about a novel where the character finds itself at the end of the novel, and it's actually the cover with the orange blue theme, so completely orange and the blue writing, which kind of reminded me of the Erkenci Kush colors. So it's an orange background, the writing is kind of white bluish if you look closely. So was that a hint to how the story will continue? Will Sanem find herself? Does this mean she will be strong, independent, working on her novel, but at the same time being with the love of her life? Anyways, Can sees that, comes, signs to everyone they should go away, and then screams, I want a creative meeting, blah blah blah. And everyone is like, oh my god, yes, of course. And then they have this meeting and Can says, well, Sanem, Dagan, you stay here. And then he asks, Sanem, did you work on that? Yes, I did. Dagan, did you check it? Yes. Well, when did you do all those things? And Dagan explains it that they were so motivated because of the Red Mode campaign and that there is nothing left that is urgent. And Sanem is like, well, when there is nothing left, I can go. And Can is like, he needs to find something else for her to work on because she slips through his fingers and he doesn't want that. He wants to keep her there. Oh, we also got a Leyla Emre moment where they were talking about this whole Canem situation, and she's like, well, both of them are very stubborn. And then she looks away and is like, now Sanem quit her job for me. And he hears that and he's like, well, you can't leave me, I can't let you go, because when Can goes, I will be alone, I will need you, blah blah blah. And then Emre asks her, well, if you want to leave so badly, why are you still here? And she can't answer him, she can't look at him, so he gets it. But then Osman appears, so she goes to Osman so he wouldn't see them together in Emre's office. And then Osman asks her if she would go to lunch with him, but she says, well, she has so much work, kind of evades him, but at the same time wants to be with him because she doesn't want to hurt him. But she actually wants to be with Emre because they looked at each other while she was hugging Osman. It's like, oh my god, this triangle, but I love it so much. So I get frustrated, but I love it. I don't know, is that normal to love this frustration? So while this whole dinner with Osman takes place, we have Yeet visiting Can because Mama David invited him. She wanted to get to know him more. And Can wasn't very amused when he saw Yeet standing there. Then Yeet talking, answering Mama David, and Can always making digs at Yeet. Oh my god, I loved every second of it. Like, Can was so angry, so frustrated, so jealous. Even Emre had to hold back from laughing. Polen was like very shocked. Yeet wasn't fazed at all. He was like all proud. Even Mama David was shocked. And then Can got so frustrated that he would just massage his face and wouldn't look at Yeet, but at the same time he would look through his fingers. Then Emre trying to make everything right. But one subtle move that I really liked, I don't know if it was intentional or not, the thing that I really liked was that he could have sat on Mama David's side the way he sat on Can's side, but he sat on Can's side. So for me that showed that he's team Can all the way. So I don't know, was it intentional, wasn't it intentional? I don't know how to explain it. I hope you understood, but yeah, I really liked that little moment. But all in all, that scene was amazing. Jealous Can being frustrated with Yeet, especially when Yeet started talking about Sanem. It was brilliant. Then the next day, Can is like, Sanem, I will give you a secret project. No one is allowed to know about it. I have a friend who wants a campaign for his sport line for balls. And then when Sanem questions, well, can I see the image of it? Can I see be a website. He's like, no, there's no website. The image is like a ball. I think he invented that story, that friend that needs his help. Oh my god, like John is getting desperate and I love it. I love it so much. Even Sanem was a little bit confused, but he kept on going. He was like, no, he has this friend and he wants a campaign and no one is allowed to know about it, and he trusts her. And then when she walks out, sits down, has some ideas, and then because she isn't allowed to talk, she's like, and then JJ has the same conversation with her. I was like, oh my god, did they understand each other? And he's like, like, go back. I love this so much. And then she says to JJ, if anyone asks about me, I'm on the toilet, but I'm going to eat, blah blah blah. And then she goes down. They talk about something, I don't remember what, but they're eating cake and she has chocolate. He wipes it away. She jumps up. So he likes her, but she's not interested. He even asked her at the beginning of the episode if there's something between her and John, and she said yes, but it's complicated. Then we also have this moment where Hulen is in John's office and they talk about how they should work with the pictures for the cookbook, I don't know. But then Sanem comes in. John isn't very interested in this whole Hulen conversation. And then when Sanem comes in, they have their own back and forth. And I laughed so much because Hulen was like watching a tennis match, just like looking at John, looking at Sanem, looking at John. It was so funny. Then we have this whole party happening, John being in the corner. Then Sanem comes and he's looking at her, she's looking at him, kind of longing for each other but not making the first step. And then Mama Divik being like, well, John, come take some pictures of this amazing food. And he's like, well, the light is not great. And JJ wants to do something with the light, but he gets electrocuted instead. And then Pauline is like, well, please, John. And he says, okay, I'll do it for you. And he takes pictures, but then in the middle of him taking pictures of food, he takes pictures of Sanem. So maybe we will get to see those pictures in the future. Anyways, Yeet comes and this whole shooting scene happens. Then Sanem and Yeet talk about the book, about what she thinks of everything. And John is actually watching them, sitting there. And the only thing I could look at was the glass he was balancing on his knee. I was like, oh my god, this glass is going to fall down any second now. How can you do that? But it didn't. So maybe John has a new talent balancing glasses on knees. So anyways, he goes up to Sanem, wants to talk with her. Mama David sees it, interrupts. Pauline comes, interrupts, takes John away. Mama David talks with Sanem, even tells her what Mevkubet told her, that Sanem can't cook, blah blah blah. And Emre is watching everything, and while Mama David is talking with Sanem, Layla walks out because she got bored, because it's just too much for her, and he sees it. And then when Mama David is gone, he walks past Sanem, and I thought it was so cute, him stroking her back. It was just a little gesture, but I really liked it. Anyways, he takes the blanket out, puts it on Layla's shoulder, wants to talk with her. She's like, well, I don't want to talk with you. He says, well, I hope we could be friends. Oh yeah, before that he asks her if she's fine, and then this whole friendship thing comes up, and it all gets too much for Layla, and she says, well, she just wants to be colleagues with him who respect each other, and she just wants to go. And Sanem is like, okay, let's go. And Yeet is like, well, I can drive you home. And Pauline is actually having a conversation with John, but he's not paying any attention. He looks at Sanem. What will her answer be? And then she says, okay. There's this slow motion moment. He looks at Pauline, looks at Sanem, kind of torn between all those things, like his pride to stay away from Sanem, but at the same time kind of wanting to go with her. So there's still this stubbornness that I don't really like, but at the same time I like it because it keeps the story going. Then we have this whole Janem Layem montage with sad music. Everyone is being sad, thinking about the other person. Then the next day, Sanem is quite sad when she writes 11 days left. John looks at her quite sad. Yeet comes. I mean, this person appears every second, but at the same time I like it because it makes John jealous. and I want to see that. Anyways, he's all excited because a person wants to meet with him and Sanem because of a book. I don't know. Anyways, Can gets very angry, being like, this is fikri harika, nobody is interested in what you're saying, blah blah blah. Just basically kicking him out, being like, don't talk about your stuff in my agency. And then Can's like, well, let's have a meeting here, and goes up to the board thing and starts writing. Sanem is like, oh my god, don't start writing on it because that's my countdown, can't you just use something else? It's just amazing to see them going back and forth, and then him being like, well, let's come up with phase 2 for red mod, and then him using loyalty, honesty, and I don't remember the third word he was using, which was actually referring to their relationship. Sanem understood, came up with her own words, and then Polen comes. Sanem is about to sneeze, but her reaction changed. Now Sanem doesn't sneeze anymore, she has the hiccups. Anyway, Sanem goes to Yeet because she wants to talk with him. While she's gone, JJ calls Ayhan to kind of bring Canem back together because he gets so frustrated, and he hides behind the chair because he thinks nobody is listening to him. So Gülis comes, Leyla, Emre and Deren comes, and also the whole agency comes except for Can. He then starts telling everyone what he wants. They all scatter away because Can is walking around in his office, and Gülis is like, okay, he sat down, come here. And what I thought was very cute was that everyone was helping JJ, Emre, Leyla, Deren, Gülis. I loved it so much. And then they have this whole meeting where Ayhan also comes. She's like, well, we need to force them to talk, lock them up somewhere where it's cold. And then JJ and Deren come up with those, well, what if they die, blah blah blah. And then Gülis knocks on wood, and JJ thinks someone knocked at the door. Oh my god. Anyways, Deren goes to Sanem, tells her, well, there's this new client, blah blah blah, you need to go with JJ basically. At first she didn't want to, but then she goes. The same thing happens with Can because she says, well, there's the new potential client, you should go, blah blah blah. He doesn't want to go, but then she kind of convinces him to go. Leyla sees that the plan worked. She goes to Emre, tells him everything, and he's like, I need to go to the bank to sign some contracts, come with me. First she doesn't want to go, but he convinces her, so they go. And they actually drive by the bank, and Leyla is like, well, what's happening? Well, I want to talk with you. She doesn't want to listen to him. There's this back and forth. She wants to get out of the car. He chases after her, and then he's like, well, stop and listen to me. Then he's apologizing, telling her that Aylin blackmailed him, that he didn't want to disappoint Leyla. And then Leyla says, well, you hurt me, you broke my heart. And he's like, well, I want to make it up to you. Please give me another chance. I want to make you the happiest girl on the planet. And then she thinks about Osman, about that moment where he's like, well, tell me now or else I can bear it. Because she accepted back then, she can't say anything to Emre, so she's like, I'm very happy the way I am right now. And he's questioning her, are you really happy? Do you really love Osman? And she can't look at him, she can't answer him, and he understands that, and it takes her face, and he says, well, I love you. So I really do hope that Emre won't stop fighting for Leyla. Then we get Sanem and JJ walking up to the freezer. She's like, I don't want to go in, it's cold, blah blah blah. JJ asking for her phone because he needs to call Deren, says he has no signal, goes out, and that Sanem should wait at the back because maybe that's where the people are that they're looking for. Then Deren and Can come. He's all confused and skeptical of everything. She asks if she can have his phone because she has no charge. She walks out, closes the door. He's all, Deren, what are you doing? Let me out, blah blah blah. Sanem appears. That's the moment from the trailer. And then they have this whole conversation back and forth. Sanem trying to get out to talk to JJ. He's like, well, it's all soundproof, don't waste your time. And then she's like, well, I'm freezing. And that's the moment where he gives Sanem his jacket, and he gets all angry because she has a crop top, and of course you're cold because your belly's is out, look at you, blah blah blah. Then they're talking some more and Sanem is like, well, I'm freezing here, and he's like, okay, let's hug. She's like, no. He's like, I'm not excited either, but it's for you, like for you to keep warm. So they're hugging, it's all cute, them looking at each other. And then as soon as he starts talking about Eid and she made a stupid decision, she backs away and they start fighting again. And she's like, you don't want me to build my future? And he's like, I was actually planning on a future together, but you destroyed it by your lies. But she's like, well, I was forced to, it was for you, but you're not listening to me. And that's another moment where Can is like stubborn, not answering Sanem. Then you get to see Ayhan, JJ and Daran trying to listen if they hear anything, and Ayhan not being sure how long people can actually survive in the freezer, and they are all desperate. Oh my god, what if they died, blah blah blah. So they open the door, leave their phones on the floor, and then when Sanem gets out, she's like, she can't survive 11 or 10 more days at the agency. She's just done with everything and she will leave tomorrow. And he's like, well, leave, because I will leave as well. And then there's this whole staring contest kind of happening. You can really see her being all sure of herself, strong, not backing down, and then him having this softer look, being like frustrated, and then kind of trying to tell her, don't go, don't leave me, but it wouldn't come out of his mouth because he's so stubborn. And now to Alex's predictions for episode 33. So we get this whole preview where Sanem is wearing this yellow sexy dress, everyone looking at her, JJ being like, don't do that, you need some protection for the evil eye. Someone in the comments actually told me once what it's called. Let me just look it up. It was, I'm sorry if I mispronounce it, Ayaya Anaya. It's called Nazar Bonchu. So amulet. Thank you for telling me that. JJ gives Sanem that amulet, and then Sanem says, well, she's not affected by Can anymore, and JJ tests it and says, Can. And she's like, am I dead? My heart isn't beating, he's not affecting me at all. And then Can comes and you hear her heart beating, and then he's like looking at her and then being like, are you for real? Just walking past her, and JJ is like, go and take your stuff, why haven't you taken your stuff? And she's so annoyed, and Sanem is like, I will go and take the stuff I forgot, really easy, and just come out, and then being like that. So I'm really excited how this whole situation plays out. And then on Sunday evening we got a trailer. I was like, okay. So we get Sanem and Layla talking, being all angry about this whole situation, Can and Polen and everything. And then we also get Can talking to Emre, venting about Eid, wanting to punch him, and we're just laughing along, enjoying it, kind of, as do I. Then we also get to see Polen and Can and Eid and Sanem at a culinary school. So this will be very, very funny to watch, I'm sure of it. I don't really know what else to say. So yeah, this is all I can say. I hope you liked my review and my predictions, if you can call it predictions. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, it will really mean a lot to me. Comment down below what your thoughts are on episode 32. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already to see more Erkenci reviews or videos that I do in general. And I will see you next time. Bye!